Today we're going to talk about habits and how do we create habits to overcome negativity, because this is so very important to us. Because one of the things we want to do is we want to reduce down our ratio of negative emotions to positive emotions. And the way we're going to go about doing that is creating some habits that are going to support us. So every time we come up with a negative situation or a negative emotion, that we have some habits that are going to support us in getting out of that. Because otherwise it's really difficult. I don't know about you, but when we're in that negative state, when we're in the fug itself, it's actually really tricky to get out of if we haven't thought about and haven't built some habits that are going to support us in getting out of that state. So the first thing we need to do is identify which of our negative states is the most impactful or the most prevalent in causing us this imbalance between positive to negative. And then once we've identified that, then we choose to work with that one. What we do is we identify the state, we identify what tends to trigger the state, and then we work out, well, what do we want to do instead? Yeah. So if our negative state is anger, then we might say, you know what? This is anger. This is just going to hurt me and it's going to hurt other people, and I really don't want this state of mind. So I know that that comes because I've got some unmet need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out what's the unmet need, and I'm going to work out how I can meet that need without me generating anger towards the other person or towards myself. And then we take some proactive steps that are going to take us there. So we work out a plan of action. We work out what is it that we're going to say to us, how we're going to feel, what are we going to do, what are our strategies, and then we imagine and practice them over and over and over again in our minds, but also then in reality. So the thing about changing habits is that they take a little bit of time. So typically, if there's something that we do every day, then to change it, we're going to need to do it at least 21 days, consistently every day for us to change the habit. So typically what ends up happening is we often get into about day 5 and we stuff it. We don't manage to follow through on our new habit. So we need to have some tools and techniques that are going to help us in tackling it when we get those situations. So the first thing is, don't panic. It's bound to happen, yeah? So I always tell this little story about I used to take my son to swimming, and I'd drive down the road, and at the roundabout I'd turn left. And then one day I discovered that if I turned right, I didn't have to get through 5 sets of traffic lights and 2 school zones. And not only that, it was a 60 km/h zone. So it was a lot faster to get him to swimming that way. So I knew that this was a really good idea. I was really highly motivated to take the new route. And yet every now and then I would take the left-hand turn rather than the right-hand turn. So the way that I had to tackle that was at the outset of the journey. I had to remind myself, I want to go right at the roundabout. I want to go right at the roundabout. And then I would be journeying along and my son would start talking in the back of the car, and I'd sort of go into autopilot and I'd go left at the roundabout. Like, oh no, I've done it again. Okay, so then I remind myself, yeah, I've got to go right at the roundabout. I've got to go right at the roundabout the next time. And then what I discovered was, actually when I'm first starting to change this habit, I need to remind myself continuously. I can't sort of get distracted. So all the way down the road, I was going right. I'm going right at the roundabout. I'm going right at the roundabout. I'm going right at the roundabout. And eventually this became my new habit. I now almost always go right at the roundabout. And occasionally I accidentally go left. And that's just the way habits happen. So I remind myself, that's it. I want to go right at the roundabout. Next time I'm going to go right at the roundabout. When I come to next time, I get in the car and I go, all right, that's it. I want to go right at the roundabout. And that's how we build habits, is by continuously and persistently reminding ourselves of our goal, of what we want to have happen, not getting upset when we do muck it up, because we are going to muck it up, and just reminding ourselves of the new direction that we want to take. And that's the way we build habits, and particularly habits that are around our negativity and our unhelpful behaviours. So have fun, go build some habits today.